Hi guys, I'm Saumya and in today's video I'm going to tell you about the books that I read in February. So this is a February wrap-up video. I read 7 books and I am okay with my reading in February because it is definitely better than it was in January. In January it was just 4 books. So yes, I moved on to 7, so I'm happy. So let's get into the video. The first book is The Dad Mist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. So the story in this book is based on the true story of a man named Lev Sokolov, who was a prisoner for 3 years in the Auschwitz concentration camp. He was sent there in 1942 and he came out in 1945. He was a tattooist in that camp. He used to tattoo his fellow prisoners. It's basically how he survived those 3 years, and it's also his love story, because while tattooing his fellow prisoners, one day his eyes fell on this young girl who was also a prisoner. She was absolutely terrified, but the moment he saw her, he fell in love with her and she also returned his affection. So he decided there and then that not only is he going to save himself from this hellhole, he will also get her out and they'll make a happy life in future. So we get to read about the story of courage, hope, bravery, and it makes you cry a lot because of the tortures that they go through, which have been described in this book. We all know that the Holocaust was a terrible time in human history, and this book has talked about that from the prisoner's perspective. Although a lot of people, a lot of historians have argued about the historical accuracy of this book, a lot of people have claimed that the facts in this book are not correct, but nevertheless this book still is a great read and it makes you cry because it makes you go through a lot of emotions. The factor that makes this book special is the story. The writing, I won't say is anything out of the box. It's nothing spectacular. The writing is okay, but the story is mind-blowing. The next book is If You See Me Don't Say Hi by Neil Patel. So this is a collection of 11 short stories about Indian immigrants living in the United States. It is a very riveting book. The entire vibe of the book is usually sad because all the stories are either about longing or maybe betrayal or unrequited love or loneliness. So the entire feel of this book is really poignant, but it is very well written. I loved reading this book. It was a delight to read, even though it's sad, but it was a well written book, so it was a good experience. My favorite stories in this book are the last 2 stories because they're connected to each other. Those stories really broke my heart and they really made me cry because of just how tragic they were, yet there was a certain realness about them. Plus the first story in this book, God of Destruction, is also something that tackles a topic that is very common. It's loneliness, basically. When we are lonely, how we sometimes take desperate decisions. So as far as I am concerned, I loved it and I recommend this one. The next book is The Ineligible Millionaire by Tarun Varshney. I have done a detailed review of this book on my channel. I'll leave the link for that video in the description. So this is a story of an engineer named Arjun who is unable to land a job in his campus placement due to his poor score in both 10th and 12th standard, and the situation becomes even more distressing for him because his family is under debt. So he desperately tries to find a job, but luck is generally not in his favor. It's like one after the other misfortunes keep heaping up, but he never gives up. So the main message of this book is that no matter what life throws at you, you should never stop working hard because hard work always pays. I felt the writing could have been better. Plus there were some issues with the storyline that I felt that were present. अगली किताब है चित्रलेखा, जिसके लेखक हैं भगवती चरण वर्मा. मैंने इस किताब का रिव्यू वीडियो भी बनाया है जिसका लिंक मैंने डिस्क्रिप्शन में दे दिया है. चित्रलेखा, जैसे कि आप जानते ही होंगे, हिंदी साहित्य जगत की एक बहुत प्रसिद्ध किताब है और ये किताब मैं काफी समय से पढ़ना चाहती थी. चित्रलेखा के माध्यम से लेखक ने पाप क्या है और पुण्य क्या है ये परिभाषित करने का प्रयास किया है. इसमें कई सारे पात्र हैं. जैसे किताब का नाम चित्रलेखा है तो कहानी जो है वो चित्रलेखा के इर्द गिर्द ही घूमती है. चित्रलेखा पाटलिपुत्र की एक प्रभावशाली और सुंदर राजनर्तकी है. महाप्रभु रत्नांबर अपने 2 शिष्यों को पाप और पुण्य की खोज में भेजते हैं. विशाल देव को वो एक योगी के पास भेजते हैं जिसका नाम कुमारगिरी है, और श्वेतांग को वो एक सामंत के पास भेजते हैं जिसका नाम बीजगुप्त है. इस किताब की भाषा काव्यात्मक है और कहानी इंटरेस्टिंग है, और इस किताब के बारे में और जानने के लिए आप मेरा रिव्यू वीडियो देख सकते हैं. The next book is Collected Stories by Rabindranath Tagore. So it's a collection of 10 stories by Rabindranath Tagore that have been translated from Bengali to English. And these 10 stories are absolute gems that you cannot miss out on. If you haven't read these stories, then what are you waiting for? You should definitely go for this book. It even has the story Kabuliwala, which I personally love. I cried when I read it in Hindi for the first time. I cried when I read it in English. That's the impact of this story. In fact, each and every story in this book makes you emotional because of what occurs in it. The next book is End of All Crimes at East West Island by Manish Dhoni. So I reviewed this book as well. The link for the detailed review will be in the description. So this is a novella that is taking place in a country called East West Island. So the Prime Minister of this country, Mr. K. Law, introduces a new extreme law according to which each and every citizen of this country shall have the birthright to exercise license for life imprisonment once in their lifetime against any other person, and if they choose to use this right against another person, that other person shall be jailed instantly without any further investigation. So the Prime Minister announces that this law shall become applicable 90 days after his announcement. So this novella basically covers the events of these 90 days leading up to the time when the law actually shall become applicable. So the concept of the story was not bad. In fact, it could have been good, but the problem with the book was that the editing of the book was not even lazy, it was just not there. The next book is This House of Clay and Water by Faika Mansab. I read this in the beginning of February and it has 3 protagonists. One of them is Nida, who comes from an influential political family, and even though she comes from a rich family, she leads a trapped life because she has a terrible husband who literally suffocates her. Then comes the character of Sasha, who's beautiful, and she comes from a middle class family. Sasha feels that her aspirations were not fulfilled because she was married off early. So she works as an escort to fulfill her material desires, and also she's kind of on a lookout for love in one of her clients because she finds her husband extremely boring. And finally there is the character of Bhangi, who is a hermaphrodite. He sits outside the mosque and he has this really peaceful and a wise appearance, although the society is extremely harsh and judgmental towards him. So this book has a very dark vibe because it tackles some really serious issues. One of them is the position of hermaphrodites in a judgmental and a harsh society. Another one is child molestation. And finally, how not everybody but how some people use religion to oppress others. The story started off as a very riveting one and I was very invested in the first half. The second half I felt became scattered and the story became more and more depressing. I hated Sasha's character. I hated Nida's husband's character. So that's it. Those were the books that I read in the month of February. Let me know in the comments section how was your February in terms of reading. And if you want to get your hands on any of the books that I talked about in today's video, please feel free to do so by using my Amazon affiliate link. It would mean the world to me if you do so. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to connect with me on my social media, links are in the description. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.